Greetings, EL-BLACKLIGHT, your motivator. Now, a couple of videos we've been talking about illegitimate, government, and we've been showing you that this is a question that the Caucasians talk among themselves about the Constitution, using the Bible, because they say they founded America or United States on the Bible, but that's a lie, and we're showing it. See, you got the word occupation and you got the word authentic. Who is the author of the whole planet Earth? Whoever is the author and the founder of the planet Earth is the landlord. Now, if you can't claim that you are the author of the planet Earth, and you're trying to find out if you are, but you still occupying, and you occupying in pretense or pretending to be the landowner or the author. And that's what the Caucasian devils are doing. Just like if you get a house, move in it, or build it from the ground up, someone's bigger and stronger than you come into your house, take it over, put you in the basement. They're occupying your space, but the house originally belongs to you. That's what we're talking about. And y'all scared to say it. Act like y'all don't know it. I'm talking about my people, the black people. So we gonna show it.
I have all these books and papers up here. I don't know how to travel light. Always bring too much. But then I found it was better than not having enough. A lot I'll run through tonight. I'm not going to get every reference and quote it for you, but if you have a question, you can ask me at some point in time this evening, and hopefully I can give you a satisfactory answer and a reference, satisfactory reference that will lead you into others. But what I want to give to you tonight is food for thought and grounds for further research. As I said, I'm not representing the final word, but I'm just turning you on to what lit my fire. All right? And I have began to take some positive actions. I have began to utilize this information that I have, not just for the sake of knowing. I have jumped in the arena with the beast to fight him with his own stuff, as they say. And hopefully this will, in some way, the information tonight will empower you to fight in some way, to fight. It will strengthen you somewhat, or let me say strengthen us. In the sense that Frederick Douglass was talking about in the Life and Times, he made a statement. He was sent to a farm to be broken, to have his spirit broken, because it seemed that he was somewhat impudent. Main thing, he wanted to learn how to read. That was the main thing he wanted to do. He wanted to know, what did the letter say? So he was sent to a man by the name of Covey. And Covey was known as a notorious slave breaker. And Covey, he bought urine on everybody that approached him. Just the way he was. He'd give you a beating 2 or 3 times a day, whether you needed it or not. But the idea was to break your spirit, to break your will to fight against him. You know, we're given little cliches like, you can't fight City Hall. You can fight them and win. We got brothers and sisters in our midst who are beginning to do that, fighting and winning. Who said you can't fight City Hall? City Hall is where we catch a lot of hell from. You better be able to fight them and win. But there's a Calypsonian by the name of Shadow who has a song that says, somebody keep fooling somebody. So if you want to learn how to conquer, you got to first learn how to do what? Fight. So don't expect to conquer if you don't know how to fight and what to fight with.
Listen.
And don't look, as the brother was talking about earlier, from justice from unjust people. You can have just laws, but unjust people supposed to be enforcing them, you're still not going to get what's yours. And if you're not belligerent enough to stand up on your rights, your God-given, your creator-given rights. I'm not talking about any validation from any white people. What I'm talking about is natural things, natural laws. Okay? But anyway, Frederick Douglass he was sent to this slave breaker. And after several floggings, all right, he got tired of it. So Frederick Douglass ran away. But in running away, he really had nowhere to run to. He just ran. He knew he had to get out from under that beating so he could think. And after being in the woods for a while, and his stomach started suing his backbone for non-support, meaning that he was hungry, he said, well, it seems that if I stay out here, I'm going to die. If I go back, I'll die. So rather than starve to death, I'd rather take my chances going back and facing this beast. So he went back, and when he came up on him, Frederick Douglass realized that, hey, he had two hands, two fists, and he had just as much force and just as much power as any white man he ever came up against. The only thing Frederick Douglass was lacking, he said, was reading. He needed to know how to read. So when Covey came out and saw him, he had his whip in his hand and came out to give him a good beating. Frederick Douglass balled up his hand, and as we say on the block, went up under him, dumped him, got on him and started beating him. Then finally a brother came out of the house, what's usually called a house Negro. He came out and looked, and Covey was saying, yo, come over here and help me. And for some reason, the brother just couldn't understand him that day. He just couldn't get it. You know, he got the scratch in his head and stuff. All I know is whatever he was doing, he was shucking and jiving, but he wasn't about to mess with Frederick Douglass because he liked what he saw. And then his sister came out of the house. He tried to get her to help him. She feigned ignorance, like she didn't know what was going on or what should she do, that they were so hysterical. And the whole while, Frederick Douglass was pouring the coal on him. He was whooping him. And what was running through his mind was that if I'm going to die, as Claude McKay said, I'm not going to die like hogs pinned up in some inglorious spot. But he decided to come out and fight, and for that I was inspired. And after he whipped this white man, this slave breaker, he beat him so good until Covey got up and didn't even say anything to Frederick Douglass. For the whole week, the whole state, he said nothing further to Frederick Douglass until it was time for him to leave, and told him, don't ever send that nigga back here no more. You know, that was their jargon. But Frederick Douglass noticed something from that point. And he said in his autobiography, a man, or we'll say a person, but we understand that man means mind. A man without force is without the essential dignity of humanity. See, force.
Come on now.
Is essential. If you don't have force, people will walk all over you. This is why, you know, I look at this thing about gun buybacks. And I'm expressing some opinions too. I'm looking at gun buybacks. My dad was talking about, I was reading in the paper where, man, they're offering $50 for a gun. I said, the only way I go and sell mine is that they give me enough to buy one better than that one. Because a man without force is without the essential dignity of humanity. I learned that from Queen Mother Moore's vows. In New Orleans, they faced the Ku Klux Klan. Marcus Garvey came to New Orleans to make a speech once, and the Ku Klux Klan came up as usual in packs, like dogs. And so he didn't show, but the next day they came back. Everybody was packing. I'm not telling everybody to go and pack now.
Supreme Wisdom Lessons by Master Farad Muhammad to his servant, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, for the lost found nation of Islam in North America. To the Muslims of Number 1 Michigan, the following is the original rules of instruction to the laborers of Islam, and the title of Muslim given by our Savior before his departure, with a footnote of a few words of explanation to lay pressure upon their minds of their many errors in the past and present, that they may see the light and walk therein. I thank you, Elijah Muhammad. Instructions given to the laborers by our Savior, W.D. Farad Muhammad. 1. The student must study his assignment, lesson number 1. Each student should copy the answers of lesson of Minister Elijah Muhammad and study until the student is able to memorize by heart all answers to of said lesson number 1. Note: here, lesson number 1 is said to be the student's assignment first. Lesson number 1 lays the base of our work today and gives the student a clear knowledge of himself and his heavenly home, the best part of the earth, and who was the enemy to him and his nation, and why the enemy and righteous could not live together, and why was the righteous able to cast out his enemy. This teaches the student what he must do with the enemy of the righteous today. The righteous nation is now living in every part of the planet Earth. Therefore, the enemy must now be removed in every part of the planet Earth.